Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Turn of the Page with me, AlphaSnow from DeviantArt, aka James Wolfe. I'm here today with Mitzi1991.
Brandon Geist, it's 91.
What we'll be covering in the story is basically the back set of how we created Silvermoon and how it became to what it's become to your DeviantArt page, Brandon, and mine, because we upload it every Monday and Friday, which we agreed on. So, first off, what is your story behind the creation of Kim?
Well, there's a lot to her, actually. I created Kim about 4 years ago, and I want to say that she was a dream character. I remember that I was having a dream for about 4 years ago, and I remember seeing this character that lived inside Kate, and she just had this. It was really kind of hard to explain exactly what she was at that time, and I remember waking up that night, and I remember I fell asleep with my earphones in, and I never do that. And when I woke up, it was just the damnedest thing. I had the song "Monster" from Skillet playing in my earphones, and I thought, "Holy crap! What were the odds of that happening?" So, I mean, long story short, I got out a piece of paper, and this was like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I got out a piece of paper and I started sketching out what I remembered from that dream. And that's basically how she became to be. First of all, anyway.
All right, so that's a pretty damn good story, actually. Because when I first saw Kim on FanPop, because that's when I first met you on there, it's just like the character sort of intrigued me in such a way where I could possibly learn more of this character, and maybe I could use your inspiration of creating a character from waking up from a dream, listening to Skillet, which I'll admit is my favourite band as well because I love Skillet. Um, Second thing on the list, what was the biggest challenge creating Kim and the road that faced the upbringing of Kim?
Well, when I first came up with Kim, I mean, basically her origins was, every 100 years, and every 100th Alpha Born gets this power, and it was mediocre, it was cheesy, you know. So I think the toughest part for me with Kim was definitely coming up with a background story to her, and I mean that was about 4 years in the making, you know. I mean, you look at my artwork from the beginning to now. I mean, she has evolved just so much. But her background story her background story about her, I mean, basically, Kim was alive about 200 years ago. And she was the protector and leader of her wolf pack in Jasper Park about the 200 years ago. And she actually she actually sacrificed herself to save everyone in her pack. And when she died, she wandered around for a good 200 years trying to find a way to get back to the living. And of course, her way back was through Kate. And the reason why she chose Kate was because, I mean, she has seen several other wolves, but none of them could, what's what I'm looking for, could handle who she was, I guess. She needed to find a suitable vessel that she could live through. And so when she found Kate, she knew right there and then that she was the one. Kate was the one to bring her back to life.
All right. Well, I've already said that, but when you say her background story and how she became to who she was now, and she chose the vessel of Kate because Kim saw this potential within Kate and basically infused all her spirit into this vessel. as we know now as Kate.
Uh-huh.
So, was there any like inspirational properties of creating the name Kate and the monster, or was that just like off the top of your head?
That was like off the top of my head, to be honest. I mean, I thought, that'd be kind of cool, just, and Kim, I mean, I had to, cut down on Kate's Inner Monster, so, Kim definitely fit, because I didn't really have a name for her at the beginning, but I had a friend of mine, he goes, dude, why don't you call her Kim? It makes it simple. I'm like, oh, well, there you go.
Oh,
That's actually sounds legit.
oh, yeah. Well, that's pretty decent information that the viewers of this would like to know. But Kim is probably the most inspirational character, and I know I've said that before, but she is an inspirational character, and it's probably why I like her as much as a character so much, because honestly, what you've done is basically create a character where you could basically start off with an ambition and then grow with that idea of a character where you could be proud of, but
Yeah.
yet it's like in a simplistic way, you've just come up with this utterly brand new character where there's a demon living inside Kate, and basically she wasn't as nice as she was 200 years ago.
Well, and and that's the thing though too. I mean, when I first came up with Kim, I mean, her entire everything about her was nothing like she is now. I mean, the first idea I had about Kim was that this heartless, deceitful, just horrible thing that Kate has to put up with. But I just like we were talking about a while back. I mean, I don't think she would have gone very far if I would have kept that storyline, that character plot to her.
Right.
And I'm just definitely happy with the path I chose for her.
All right. So yeah. Oh dear. Well, that's the story of Kim. If that's the entire story, I would like to point out for everyone, Brandon. If I could politely move on to Snow, since he played a large part in this story. I'm going to start off with one of the most important questions of them all is how I created the look of Snow. Basically, the main ambition that I had was to have a character of my own which would portray a braver persona of me. For example, he isn't afraid to ask female wolves out, which I can't, which I can't do. He isn't afraid of standing up to other wolves who are talking down to him like a pile of trash. In short, it's just the persona I wish I was, because I've always wanted the confidence and the love and the ability to love. And Snow is this super romantic guy who acts like Romeo, asking Lexi to give her a profound love for him. But he is just a large fragment of my love and emotion. It's just that it's something I just do not have at times, because at times I can be quite full of words of wisdom, and sometimes I prove that within the storyline.
Uh-huh.
But the look of him basically came out of the blue. I mean, like literally came out of the blue. I imagine the character in the Alpha and Omega world who would just look like this utterly gorgeous drop dead character, which would amaze all the wolves in the park. And I'll admit he is a pretty wolf, and I'm sure the female wolves find him attractive. But what I can't put my finger on is how I managed to turn from this hopeless freaking romantic into a heart-filled emotional wolf who sings like the most romantic specimen of the wolf. It's just a profound beauty and simplicity that for some reason I can't understand. So, if I ask you this question, Brandon, What would you think of Snow as an actual character? Like, what would your thoughts be on this character? Because as as you as you might know, you've only just known this character for quite a few months now, and just want to know what your thoughts on him are.
Well, I think Snow is a pretty good character. I mean, like you've said, he's not afraid to speak his mind. And the fact that in the story, and Kim feels very, very safe around him. She trusts him, and especially Lexi. Shoot, well, let's face it, they end up together. So
Yeah, that's true.
basically, that everyone seems safe with him, and I've also realized too that he doesn't take anyone's crap. I mean, and Axel is definitely a good example. Axel's this much bigger, much just tougher wolf than Snow is. But as the story progresses, I mean, you find out more about Snow. Going, oh, so he was the best in his alpha class. So there's a lot more to the character that I know about, but then again, there's probably things about Snow I don't know yet that I'm sure I'll learn eventually.
All right. So, Brandon, what what would you say the fan base for Snow would be?
Well, I think what you were saying a while back is that Snow's been. How long has Snow been around?
About 5 months at least.
And
Snow.
what do you think it is? Like, how do you think his fan base is?
Well, I would say small. I'm not sure. I can't really judge it. It's like a tough thing to choose from, like debating a fan base of your own character when you determined to have it turn out really well.
Uh huh.
But I just kind of thought, I'd like Snow to be like a big influence on DeviantArt, but I'm just not sure.
Well, I guarantee you that the more you develop on Snow, I mean, the more people are going to be fascinated with them. I mean, with Kim, I mean, she's been around for 4 years, and I've had friends and followers. I mean, just watching my art for those 4 years and seeing how much that she's changed. And I mean, I would say that Kim's fan base is pretty good size. But the thing is, though, your fan base, I have seen, people from DeviantArt and things like that find me because of Snow, because you put Kim within your stories.
Yeah. By what you mean develop on Snow? What would you mean by that?
Well,
Develop on him?
you said that he was around for 6 months. There's
Yeah.
always, when Kim was around when she was around for 6 months, I mean, I thought that she was a good character, and yeah, I think she'll be good. But look how much she has changed. Compare those 6 months to 4 years. I mean, as these years go by, Snow is just going to improve as a character, more so than he is now. You're going to get more ideas. You're going to, he's just going to become much, much bigger. And I guarantee you that.
Okay, fair enough. Um, the rest, when I do start off with an idea like this and it like gets to like a really good stage, because it didn't really take it long to get to the stage it is now. It's like a quite a good character for a starting point, even though it's just like created out of the blue off the corners of my mind, which I really don't pay attention to. Um, but the problem is getting past that point and getting it to a stage where I could possibly improve this character even more.
Right.
And to be honest, I think the storyline of Snow, since I'm still working on a novel on him, and it's been in production for at least 8 months before, because Snow really didn't turn out to be Snow at first, because there was many ideas I had before him. Because there was just like different names for different characters. It was just like had the idea of White Fang. That was one of the names for a character. Had what else? Blade. I had him as a character, and that kind of got rejected because I just wanted this simple name. like Kim. Kim's just the easy name to say off the tongue, and I just wanted that same idea to have a name that just rolls off your tongue with ease. And I think Snow just runs off the tongue so smoothly. It's just like that name could be just like spread around like wildfire.
Yeah, and I will admit one thing. I mean, the background story with Snow and everything. You've got him so well played, more so than I did with Kim when I first came up with her. Like I said at the beginning of this, I mean, my original idea for her was so cheesy. It was so mediocre, and it has taken me 4 years to get her to this point.
Yeah. I'm just going to go off Silvermoon for a second and ask you about Snow's independent book. Because Kim had an independent book until we started Silvermoon. But what did you think of the first Snow novel? Even though it's only like 5 chapters in, because it's been quite a tough experience getting that book into production, because it's such a large task to do, and I plan to finish it like 10 chapters, because the amount of work that needs to do into it is just absolutely unthinkable.
Yeah.
So what would you think about the first book?
Much well better put together than my first book. With my book, I was up to 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I've read my story over, and you don't know how tempted I am to rewrite it, because it's that bad. The literature in mine, it's like you're having like a drunk write it or something. But your story, I mean, it's definitely good. It has plenty of detail. It definitely explains who Snow really is. And of course, that's just because of me. I mean, I love when Kim steps into it, because it's just a big twist. Boom, out of nowhere. Here comes this brand new character.
Yeah, I remember correctly that not Lexi, came into the story during a rescue mission to rescue his wife, I believe. I'm not. Yeah, it was his wife, Crystal, and basically he ran through the forest, and he basically stumbled upon this dark tanned wolf with these glowing split eyes, and until she announced her name, and then obviously the fans just like latched onto that name and like, oh, hold on, I know this name. This is from Mitzi, and I think that's what just brought the fans from Snow and the like.
Well,
I wouldn't say that was the right way.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but I think that's what that got us to say, what, let's do our own story with these two. If this is getting this much hype with just this one little section, what do you think our entire story will do?
Well, to be honest, I don't know if we should agree on this, but I think we right in saying could write a third.
Maybe,
yeah.
It depends on how big this one becomes.
Yeah, because the third one could honestly, I'm looking for like an Alpha and Omega 2 twist onto the third one. Because I want the new personality of Kate in Silvermoon Part 2.
Well, but, I think in the Silvermoon article, I mean, I think I did pretty well with that. With the whole motherly kind of like side that she had. So I think that would be no problem, I think, for that part anyway.
Yeah.
And of course, and Kim also has that instinct as well in the story.
Yeah. But honestly, I am looking forward to Alpha and Omega 2, because I love the first film.
I watched the movie. I mean, I worked at a theater. I watched the movie. I worked on a drawing while I was working on it. Was it the greatest movie? No. But I will agree that, maybe, it wasn't the best movie, but look at what it did for me, though. I mean, look at the inspiration it gave me. And then I have this character that everyone loves, Kim,
Yeah.
That's what that movie's given to me.
Yeah, I would. I don't think Alpha and Omega gave me the inspiration to create Snow there. I don't think it came from him. I think the only fragment of Snow that was in there is just like the Alpha and Omega look to him, and that's it. That's all. That's all that came to him. And I think that's the only thing that was implemented from the film to Snow, because I
Yeah.
think Snow is just like this kind of drawing board idea that's kind of worked.
And and about the second movie, I don't know what to expect. I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of controversy that the movie's gonna suck, or it's like and I'll be honest, I'm not as excited as many because I think I'm more involved with my own little world here, and I think that's my whole thing. But I can't judge until I watch it. That's just who I am.
Yeah. Okay. So on to another thing about Snow. It's basically his upbringing. Basically, Chloe is Snow's mother, and she's this more down-to-earth wolf of the Black Dawn territory. She basically support the Twilight, who is Snow's sister. Um, and the story behind Snow is that his pack was attacked by these hunters, poachers, and wolves. Now, the territory Snow lived in is actually called Black Dawn, like I've mentioned earlier, and he was actually raised in a den called Red Cavern Den. Now, for the creations of the names, they weren't actually created by me. They were actually suggested by a good friend of mine called Lethal Vorcanine, who in some ways is a quite inspirational person, and I have a lot to owe to him at this time of creating a name for Snow's homeland and the place he was born. I basically put this across to Lethal and said, hey, would you mind helping me create a couple of names for the story I'm working on? And fortunately enough, he said yes, and a couple of days later, he actually got back to me with these two names, and they basically hit the nail on the head. And I just thought, this could actually work. These are two names I would like to use for a territory that Snow lived in, and the destruction of the park. Actually, if you're quite familiar with that scene, Black Dawn is basically a kind of symbolization of the destruction of other parks. Because Black Dawn kind of came across to me like a sort of ultimate park of the parks, just like the one that stands above the rest. And it's just like I can't. It's like this immense park got completely torn down by these hunters and poachers with machine gun fire, and just the whole entire forest just set alight. And when he actually returned to the territory, like most people have read, um, Kim actually witnessed the destruction of the park.
Uh-huh.
But before moving on to Snow's father, before I ramble on, Vito is probably the most wisest wolf anyone could ever meet. Snow's ability to express the wisdom he gives the characters in Silvermoon was basically passed down from his father. Him and Snow had that father-son talk about the ways of life and how Snow was this all-inspiring friend to have, because he was always there when others needed comfort. Basically, he's a kind-hearted wolf with a caring nature, a good sense of humor, a good friend to have in their life, and he comforts those who seem down or need someone there to talk to. And he knows where you stand he knows where he stands in the park when it comes to the poses. He takes absolutely no crap whatsoever, like you said earlier.
Uh-huh.
So, moving on, what did you think that did or did not work with Lexi and Snow?
Well, I think, well, Snow, he was, very, very nervous in the beginning, but, like you said, he was, he acts out wolves all the time. But the thing is about Lexi was she has the appearance of Kim, and basically when she was born, they realized that she had the black tips and everything, and Kim brings this to their attention, going, well, that's actually what I used to look like when I was alive. So rumor got out, and to a lot of wolves in the park, everyone, I want to say, looks up to Kim and Kate as the protectors and guardians. But of course, then you got the other wolves who are like, well, she's a nuisance, and they don't know exactly what to think about her. So when Lexi was born, that rumor got around that she looked just like her, and there you go, the rumor started. And Lexi was a very, very lonely wolf who just was teased all the time, especially in her childhood. And so when it came to Snow, she didn't know how to express her feelings to him like she wished she could have.
Right. Um, what are your thoughts about Lexi falling in love with Snow, and did you think it was a wise choice for her?
I honestly think it was a wise choice because no one has ever given her that love and attention other than her parents. Um, Seeing how much that he cared for her, I don't see why it would not have been a good decision. Because, he was there to support her, he was there to protect her. When Axel threatened her, he was there to, try to stop him. So he was, like I said, he was always there for her. No one else really did that for her before.
Yeah. Would you say that in comparison to how Snow protects Lexi and how Kim protects the park, who would you say that was would be more protective?
That'd actually be a tough one. Snow is, well, more to a wolf. And so where you have Kim, she is a spiritual being. Snow can only do so much. So what he does, okay, so yeah, he protects Lexi and does things like that. But whatever he can't handle, then you have Kim, who can also back him up whenever he's in these kind of situations.
Yeah. Um, I know many people will be wondering why Snow gets hurt so much. Because honestly, in like nearly every scene, it's like I don't know, it does happen quite a lot to him, doesn't he? Just
Reckless.
yeah, I think some of them were self-inflicted, and then some of them were done by other wolves, weren't they?
Yeah.
So basically, there was the accident with the logboard. That was actually quite funny though, but it really did pain me to see him hurt. Um, but then the other one was, I think he got knocked out.
Shot too. Don't forget that one.
Yeah, shot too. Yeah. I think he got no. I think he had a couple of nightmares, but it didn't really affect him as
Well,
himself. Yeah.
he kept Kim on her paws. Just put it that way.
Yeah. Um, moving on. Would you say that Lexi had a original idea of love and how she would emerge from a life without love into the arms of Snow, who had the ultimate potential for a loving relationship to a special girl?
Well, as I was saying earlier, I mean, she didn't really know how to love or express her feelings because she didn't really have anybody. But as the story progressed, and Snow was around her more often, and that was
Yeah.
quite a bit. She started having the kind of idea going, started having the idea of what a relationship was actually like. And I think Snow definitely helped her realize what that really was.
Yeah, even though as myself I've got no idea how a relationship works. It's just basically how I view Snow's view of relationship. It's just through how I would think one would go by.
Relationships can be complicated, believe me.
Yeah, they are. I agree with you with that one. Um, they did we did do a traveling scene, didn't we? And basically, quite a drawing of yours got basically implemented into the storyline since we did kind of hit a wall with it. And the one that you chose was the runaway locomotive scene.
Uh-huh.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, and throughout the entire story, I thought, why don't I put these drawings I've done to good use? And the drawings I've done in the past, they gave me these ideas to put more things into the story. So they got their own spotlight. But you know what? The locomotive drawing, I mean, I always had this idea in mind of this runaway locomotive, and Kim just somehow is supposed to, is there, and she needs to stop this thing. And I've always wondered about the storyline, how this would happen. So when we did that part where they're going back to what was it, Sawtooth?
Yeah,
I thought that would be perfect. So we did that scene about the runaway locomotive, and in the end, Kim, she started. Well, what was her looking for? Wolfclaw's the one who actually stopped the locomotive in the end. But she's the one who noticed that, okay, we got to do something about this, or there's going to be some consequences here.
yeah,
So that was a very, very dramatic scene, and that's just my opinion, because there was a lot of stuff going on.
yeah. In total, how many drawings do you think that were featured in this RP?
Well, let's see. I want to say maybe 5 or 6. I want to say
5 or 6
5 or 6
drawings.
drawings. I'd probably have to go through and look, but there's Runaway Locomotive. Um, Are You Ready? And that one has Kim and Kate. It's a black and white traditional pencil drawing. It's got like this black aura coming over them, and that's towards the end of the story. Um, the kiss with Snow and Kim. Uh, Let Me Show You. That one's with Lexi.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was actually there were a few drawings that were introduced into this story.
Well, Kim's kiss. That was actually a pretty good scene to implement because she was starting to develop feelings for Octane, who had just recently arrived at the park. So, yeah, so with that request I made, not so I don't know how long I made that request for, but I think that was the best one I put to use really for basically this entire story because I've always wanted to have that scene implemented into a Kim story, and finally got around to doing it.
Uh-huh. Well, and that was it was a very, very appropriate and acceptable thing to do. I mean, I've been asked several things, in the past that's like, nah, I just can't do that. But this one, I mean, to me, it's like, oh, well, that would be kind of, cool looking, or I like the idea of Kim actually being liked by someone.
Yeah. Um, On to another question. What did you think of the time together that Snow and Lexi had at Sawtooth Park?
I don't know. I mean, I think it definitely, well, there's no doubt about it. They definitely bonded a lot more than
Yeah,
they did when they were at the park. They were together a lot more and learned more about each other, which I'm sure you would agree.
yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, They did find a abandoned den, didn't they?
Yeah.
Uh, I didn't really notice it, to be honest. Was that like featured in the first Kim novel, or?
Well, let's see, the abandoned den in the first Kim novel was just a den that was located in Jasper Park. It was the den that Kate ran to kind of hide away from everyone else because she needed some time away because, Kim was a nuisance. Kim was, making her life a living hell, basically. And it was just a way for her to get away from everybody. And of course, later on in my story that I wrote, Garth ends up finding her and what's that word I'm looking for? Well, basically, ask her to please come back to the park.
Oh, okay. Um, I know this might be a stressful question, but would you think that it was wise of Lexi and Snow to basically, the word that wasn't used in the Alpha and Omega film, mate?
Well, that one, I mean, I had a feeling that was going to come eventually. Was it the wise decision to do it right there and then? Probably not. But it happened, and basically Lexi and Snow kind of have to deal with their decision. And of course, Kate and Kim, they knew right away what happened because they could smell the scents, and they knew right away. To where when Humphrey found out, I mean, he was not very happy about it
Yeah.
because they're young. Both Snow and Lexi are pretty young.
So, would you say it was becoming more agreeable that was a wise decision later on in the story or not?
I think, well, that definitely made them bond better towards the end of the story.
Yeah,
Most definitely.
fair enough. Um, so I think a lot of people have been asking how you actually came up with Wolfclaw.
Wolfclaw. Well, okay, so when Kim was killed, the way she even was captured in the first place was that she was captured by these hunters, and they used this chain around her neck, kind of like a leash and a collar, and it was made for her not to escape. But when she was finally put down, when she died, this chain stayed around her neck, and there's a certain word for that. And my buddy told me that what the word was a long time ago, and I just can't remember what it was. But she when she passes away, she's bound to this chain, which was her death sentence, pretty much. And so several hundred years later, her and Kate are, they're friends, like they are now in my drawings and things like that. You know, Kim had never had a weapon. In any of my older drawings, she didn't have the chain, she didn't have Wolfclaw, she didn't have anybody. But it's always been there. But one of these nights, they Kate and Kim realized, hey, we need an upper hand. We need something to help us out. And, and Kim's like, I have this chain, and we got to put this thing to some kind of use. And so Kate kind of goes, well, what about that old trap that caught me a little over a year ago? And then that one drawing that I did, Meet Wolfclaw, that kind of shows what happened. Kim attaches her chain to Wolfclaw, which was just a plain old trap. It was just a rusty, worn out trap that's been rusting for a little over a year. And she attaches her chain to the trap, and basically her supernatural powers, kind of like a bloodline, shoots right to the trap and brings Wolfclaw to life. And then they have themselves a new weapon and friend. And throughout the drawings, I have given Wolfclaw, a personality, and I bet you would probably agree with that one.
Yeah.
For someone who doesn't have expressions or a face or eyes, he can definitely, you definitely know what he is feeling. And how is he a he? I don't know. I just call him a he.
Fair fair enough.
I mean, I've been asked about him a lot. Like, what the heck is he? What the hell is it? You know, it's like, well, I pretty much explained to him this is what he is.
Yeah. Well, moving on. Let's see, moving back to the ending scene, basically where we rushed it to where Snow and Lexi finally got married and had the pups. The names, those that really brought actually a challenge to me because when Axel said there was going to be four pups, in my mind was saying, "Oh God, I'm going to have to think of two new names for those characters." Because I already created two because Snow was having these dreams about playing with his son and daughter, Rose and Ryan. Or is it Alex and Rose? I got no idea. But the names are Rose, Sky, Ryan, and Alex. So basically, we've got two boys and two girls. How I came up with the looks of the pups, I have no idea. I just basically, it was just like a really simple plan. It was just like a simple case of mixing the body features of Snell and Lexi and see what worked and didn't work. And fortunately enough, I finally came to the conclusion of having these looks that merged within the two characters, Snow and Lexi.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on to your drawings, what 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 were what are your thoughts between the old drawings and the new drawings? Would you
Well,
say they're better or worse?
I would, okay, so I would say that my new drawings are definitely better than the older drawings. But my older drawings, to me, they, well, they're a birth of a character. They're what Kim started off as. And if you look through my DeviantArt and things like that, I mean, you just see how much that she progresses and how many ideas I've come up with for her. And over the past 4 years, I mean, I have had so many fans and followers going, I love your character, or I love your story, or, you've inspired me. And it's like, that is an awesome feeling. That is a wonderful feeling to get those kind of comments.
So, this character Axel, and to be honest, I despised him from the moment he was introduced to the story. And I'm being completely honest with that. So, what made you create this evil son of a bitch character where I'm going to have a constant issue with him?
Let's be honest here. Every movie, there's a bad guy or a villain. Kim needed someone, and Snow as well. They needed a villain. They needed someone that they just could not. They just couldn't stand. And Axel's history was he was part of Garth's pack before the packs joined, and him and Garth were the two of the best alphas in their pack. And when the packs joined, they Winston and Tony and all them, they made that decision that Kate and Garth need to be the head leaders, as well as Lily and Humphrey. And then there's Axel, who gets very, very jealous, and he's very upset with the decisions. And so basically, he becomes a rebel. He's a rogue, and leaves the packs, makes his own little pack, which we made up in the story, and he just becomes the biggest asshole that no one can really stand.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I really do believe he did put on a big performance towards the end at the big battle. Basically, just all screaming and shouting, massive power, tentacles, God knows what. And so,
well, I didn't know what else to call that. I had no else to call it.
so moving on, how does your character Kim relate to you?
Well, to me, Kim is a character that I always wanted to be. Um, when I was little, in elementary school and part of middle school, I was picked on a lot. Those years of my life were a living hell. I didn't stick up for myself. I didn't know how to stick up for myself. And I was made fun of every single day. And Kim, she's looked up to everybody. She doesn't take anyone's crap. She's tough. She's, and like me, she's good-hearted, cares about others. But she doesn't put up with anyone's crap, which is something I wish I could have done back in the day.
All right. Basically, moving on to mine, how do I relate to Snow? Now, that is a tough question within itself. Basically, Snow is a completely different persona from me because he's just much braver and loving wolf that I could have never become. Basically, he is my guardian angel in a way. He is always there when I feel down. He gives me the confidence to say that anything. He gives me the confidence to say that everything will be all right, and the future is a burden of self-consciousness. And if I know any better, he would be the person that, if he was a person, that I would want to be, because he has the kind heart, kind, loving, and caring personality that everyone should have, really.
Mm-hmm.
His words of wisdom, basically, they come from me. Due to the emotional pain in my life, yes, I was picked on. Yes, I've had rough primary school and secondary school and so forth. But I think that's kind of stopped when I kind of like put my foot down in school and stood up for myself in secondary school, and just thought, right, that's it. I've not had enough, and basically things did not end well, and then everything sort of stopped.
When I got into high school, man, no one bugged me. I was a lot bigger than a lot of other guys. I'm a 6'4", almost 5 guy. No one's like, I'm not fucking with this guy.
Yeah, I think I completely snapped in secondary school. I think I got to the point of exploding, just like that one final insult that you just put up with, and like, that's it, you fucking.
I remember that there was this one kid who just ticked me off, and I literally picked him up and I threw him across the field, and I said, "Had enough of your bullshit, man." And that was it. Just make a stand, and that's it.
Well, continuing on. Basically, his words of wisdom basically came to the emotional pain I've been through, and to be honest, every wound, physical or emotional, leave a scar, and those scars say that I have survived and I am strong. And I will remain strong as long as I know that I have Snow somewhere in my mind pushing me forward and remaining determined, but also have a nice relax once in a while. And I think that is the most descriptive way I could possibly put Snow into context, because it's just a profound experience that he has that I just don't have. So that's basically my view on how I relate to Snow.
Yeah.
Basically, we're going to move on to the final part of the commentary. Is there any questions you would like to ask me about Snow, his upbringing, and basically whatever?
Not really. You basically answered everything that I would want to ask about Snow. How he came to be, what's your intake on him. Just basically answering everything I'd like to know about him. Is there anything you want to ask me?
One question, I know it sounds a bit dumb, but why do her eyes glow gold?
Okay, well, in my original drawings when I first drew up Kim, I always pictured her with these orange and yellow split eyes. Of course, in my older drawings, which are all traditional and with pencil, I couldn't show that. So, as I finally got into color with the whole computer coloring and things like that, I always pictured her in my mind in the drawings of her whenever she gets angry or she's hiding or something like that. Her eyes give off this yellowish glow. And when I say gold glow, I mean, you look in a lot of my drawings, it's kind of like an orangish, goldish color.
Yeah.
And I mean, I definitely it gives her more depth, I want to say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Another question. In what way would Wolfclaw, on the subject of him, does he like get bigger as soon as he unravels, or?
Well, the thing is, though, when Kim and Kate transform or change, I want to say, I want to think of it as kind of like Ghost Rider, if you want something to kind of relate to it. When Kate is herself, Wolfclaw isn't a weapon. He basically turns into a necklace and a pendant, just waiting for him to be called on by Kim. When Kate changes into Kim, Wolfclaw, he unravels and he gets into this larger size, which is what we basically see a lot of him as in my drawings. And whenever you see Kate, as herself, he's a little necklace.
Yeah. Following on apart from Kim and that lot, you did set out on a project to make Wolfclaw in real life.
Well, I did make a real Wolfclaw pendant, but it's not exactly the best looking one. So I'm in the process of actually making a better looking pendant. I know that I've told on DeviantArt that if anyone would like a pendant of Wolfclaw, and the thing is, though, I mean, God, they'd be so expensive to make. I gotta make the mold, and I gotta get it either made out of silver or pewter, or whatever it might be. But it'd be very, very expensive. So if anything like that ever comes up, I might have to charge. It just depends if it happens or not.
Well, like I've mentioned before, and basically I have put my name forward. What else? Basically, what else can I ask? Would you say that Kim 200 years ago, when she was actually alive, how strong was she actually?
She was like Snow. I'm gonna definitely compare her to Snow because she wasn't dead. She wasn't supernatural. She was alive, living, breathing wolf, and that's what she was. And and that's how Lexi became to be because Kim's original name when she was alive was Lexi, and she was the one that everyone looked up to, and she was just like she is now, just without the powers.
All right. Another question. I know you haven't really implemented it into the story, but who was Kim's husband before she died?
She doesn't know. When
She doesn't know.
Well,
do you know?
No, I don't actually. I did have a name for him, but I haven't used him in so long. I can't remember what his name was or her kids that she had. But for Kim, she can't remember because when she's in this world, which I call the dark abyss, it's between the worlds of life and death. And when you're gone from reality for that long, she just loses her memory and basically loses herself, which is why she's so crazy in the first story. And why my drawing, she looks all evil and just creepy looking. She loses herself. And the way she is now, how she's Kate's friend and all that, Kate's the one who basically brought her back to being herself again.
All right. Well, we haven't really had any questions in from anyone because I don't think we could cover any questions. Can you think of any other fan questions that you'd like to answer before we end this?
Well, let me think. I can't really. I think I basically covered almost every single question that I think fans have asked me in the past, and I guarantee you. I mean, I'll be putting this video on DeviantArt as a link, and I guarantee you, whoever listens to this, I mean, if you have any questions for myself or Snow or anyone, just don't hesitate to ask.
Yeah, that brings us to another announcement. If you do have any other questions and you'd like them answered, me or Brandon will be kind enough to have a questions and answers video. What were you trying to say?
Oh, sorry. No, I was just clearing my throat.
All right. But if you do have any questions you'd like answered, just pop a note in to either me or Brandon, and we will choose the 10 most important questions that could be answered, and we will put that in a video and we will answer them as best as we can, because there's so much we can really give. But this has been a turn of the page with Brandon Geist. Our DeviantArt names are Mitzi1991, that is Brandon's, and mine is AlphaSnow. If you like this video, please like it, and if you didn't, tell us why in the description. Do you have any other words before you say it? We head offline?
Other than to all my watchers and fans who have followed me since the beginning, thanks so much for your support. I really appreciate it. It's because of you guys that I really enjoy what I do, and I promise you that you'll be seeing a lot more coming soon.
Right. Okay, this has been James Wolf, and thank you for listening.